What up, dudettes? Yeah, we are back at it again, chiefs. Today, we are going to be, get this, doing some low Minmus orbit science. Woo! Yeah, boy. But we are going to be using the same orbiter here again. Don't worry, we're almost done with this, and I'm actually going to open up something here real quick. This is going to look ridiculous, but oh, get rid of that. We do have a functioning rover, which we will be making use of hopefully pretty shortly. I certainly hope we can drop it on the moon and drive around. I do want to get some science done, although this is essentially just a regular capsule. We are going to need some other scientific equipment, quite frankly, because I don't really have much science here other than, well, crew reports, essentially. We are going to have to, at some point, let me see, find a way to get Science Junior. I don't know, find a way to get some more science in this thing. We'll figure that in the future, though, with some more parts. So, without further ado, we are going to jump in. Make sure I have Jebediah. Yep, sure do. Gonna jump in. And there we go, throttle up. We are gonna launch in, like that. Let's, turn off this. And we are going to time warp. A little bit too dark out here. Look at that. Imagine sitting there for a whole day. Just because the scientists couldn't call you at the right time. What a bad time. Now, okay, there we go. So, throttle up once more. Hopefully we didn't blast through all of our electrical energy. That's okay. Our batteries. Okay, so launch in 3, 2, 1. Wunderbar. Look at that. Okay. Okay. So, I am going to be... Oh, perfect. Lined up. Jumping over to Minmus again. We're going to be doing some low orbit science this time instead of landing. Don't worry, we will be landing again in the future. And I will be, hopefully, bringing a rover that time. I have to do a little bit of, design work now. I might have a time lapse. I'm definitely going to have a time lapse in the future, designing some rockets. Looking at my design process, oh my friends, it's really awful to watch. Don't worry. You get to see all of it. It's pretty great. So, what if, in launching rockets and all these things, what if we never had to worry about running out of power again? Right? That sounds pretty good. No brownouts, no blackouts. Anywhere in the world you have full access to as much power as you could. I don't know about you, it sounds pretty good to me. Let's start rolling here. Okay, so what if I told you in the next 5 to 10 years, we could pull, back. There we go. Pull it. There we go. Beautiful. Don't have to worry about being too efficient. We're not landing on Minmus this time, so we have plenty of Delta V, that's for sure. There we go. Awesome. So, we are going to turn on RCS. In this case, we are going to blast our fairing off here pretty shortly. Get in the space here first. Okay, 45, perfect. So, what if I told you that within the next 5 to 10 years, we would be producing a positive amount of energy? And I said that very specifically. Okay, so positive in the way that the amount of energy we are consuming to create the energy we're putting onto our electrical grid is positive. So instead of spending a bunch of time and a bunch of money and effort, okay, we're gonna... Beautiful. Ooh, I like that. What a mess we're making. Ay. So instead of putting all this time and energy and effort into, for example, collecting coal, and then going, oh, okay, cool, now we have to bring it to a location, we have to transport this whole system to a location, and then burn it. Well, that's not great. That's not great at all. I mean, why do you want to do that? You know, so you're spending resources to make energy. It's kind of not the best option in the world, right? Now, there's always going to happen. There's no other option around this. But if we can instead, stage, beautiful. If we could, instead of burning coal or trees or, let's say, I don't know, some other form of energy production we do nowadays, nuclear energy, for example, with nuclear reactors, what if instead we could do something called a fusion reaction? Exactly what it is our star does. Well, I don't know, that seems to run for a long time, a couple 100 million years. It's still going today, it's still going pretty strong. Well, if that's the case, and we can harness energy from that, why wouldn't we want to? Is that not something we want to do? I would think it is. I think it's pretty logical to want to do that. Zoom out here, set this as target. Beautiful. Ooh, I like that. Okay, so we should get going. You know what? Let's do this. Add maneuver. Let's go that way. Be smart about this. Be more efficient. That's the moon. No, I don't want the moon. Wow. We have a lot of delta V, don't we? Okay, fair enough. So, let's blast out further into the... ooh, beautiful. Ooh, beautiful. Okay, let's see how many... 27 days. Ugh, gross. Ooh. I like that. I like that. 25 days. Does he want to sit around for 25 days? Yeah, I guess he does. I guess he does. Is that low? Eesh. Nope, wrong way. Okay, we will figure that out. Well, we'll just circularize, get a nice, good burn. Oh boy. Okay, let's go back over here, get a better view on it. There we go, perfect. So, maneuver node, not break this thing, gets a little bit wobbly as you go. So again, it begs the question, what if, in fact, you could produce all of this energy and have a positive energy production? Because we've never had a positive energy production, let's be honest. It's been rather crappy, what we do now. You know, even nuclear reactors are inefficient. You're essentially using nuclear fuel rods, all of this stored up energy. You are then, instead of capturing this energy in any reasonable manner, you are now going, okay, cool, we're going to boil some water with it, all of this thermal energy being released in the equivalent of a controlled nuclear explosion. And instead of actually harnessing that energy in a reasonable manner, you are boiling water, the steam produced runs through a turbine, which spins essentially electric motor, and you capture the energy from that. Right? It's pretty useful, it works to an extent, but it's not very efficient, as you might imagine. You're adding extra steps to this process. So, leave a like if you want the world's energy crisis to be solved. Well, this solution's already being worked on, right? Fusion reactor. Now, before everyone starts complaining that they've been working working on this, and it's been in essentially development hell for many years now, which is true, it has been. There's a few things that's changed recently, right? So we're going to start with a little bit of history on it. In 1938, I know, 1938, we're essentially looking at, 90 years ago now. Here we go, we're burning. We are going to be staging here in a moment. Go, stage, beautiful. I love that. Hold that real nice. Burning. I am going to focus here. I do not want to mess this up. Watch this apoapsis extend all the way out until we get a capture burn on Minmus. Although it is going to be a little while before we actually come with an encounter of it. Ugh. So, we have plenty of Delta V. Wow. It's quite the effective, effective strategy doing this. Staging your orbits properly. Makes sense. No moon capture. No one wants that. Not yet. Go. We are going to be careful. Not want to overshoot. If we overshoot, it's gonna be a real pain in the butt. Did we overshoot? Maybe. Ugh. Okay, we'll make a new capture burn as we work on it all the way over there. So let's actually add maneuver. Closest burn. There we go. Add a little extra delta V into it just to make sure we get that capture real nice. Perfect. And then we are going to warp all the way over there. Let's start this maneuver node first. We don't want to have to maneuver once we get there. I do not want to run out of electrical or RCS charge on this mission. Not again. Not again. None of that. Get rid of this jiggle, too. I gotta put some struts or something on here. Okay, so we're turning off both of those. We are warping. Wow, that was fast. Gosh. Okay, so what we're warping out here. Yeah, so a few things have changed since 1938, when the first attempt at creating a fusion reactor happened, right? They already understood the concept of making plasma, and the idea that the sun produces it all the time, well, why couldn't we? So they essentially made a toroidal bottle that could confine a gas that they pumped radio waves into an attempt to, well, in effect, produce plasma. And if they could sustain the reaction, then they could theoretically receive thermal energy from that and turn a turbine and produce electricity, right? Standard, basic, logical. Not too much different from the idea we have today. So what happened is after attempting this experiment, well, as it turns out, radio waves not particularly high energy, and they could not produce enough energy to start this reaction. You have to get matter up to, a crazy high temperature for this reaction to even start to begin with, right? So once they realized this and they attempted this experiment, it didn't work, and they went, all right, well, we're just gonna forget about this for a while. It doesn't really make any sense to try and do this now. We don't have the technology. We don't have the energy. It was 150 watts they pumped into this system. Really, really, really not that impressive in compared to what we're doing today, right? Logically speaking. We're already captured. I don't need to do this burn. Cool. So now they're going, okay, cool. So instead of attempting to do it now, we're just gonna wait on it, and in the future, someone else is gonna be able to figure it out, and it's gonna be simple enough, Beautiful. I like that. So periapsis, we need to get that down as low as possible. We are going to have to modify this pretty shortly. It's okay. We'll work with that one for now. Maneuver node, RCS, SAS, maneuver. Hope I still have plenty of electricity. Let me check. Electrical charge, 0, 0, great. Alright. I'm glad I have RCS then. So, let's hit the gas on this one. So, fast forward a bit, more research, more development, over the past, essentially 90 years, we have increased the fusion reaction energy by about 10,000%. Okay, get that, 10,000%. The amount things have changed in the time that we've been working on this is absolutely mind-boggling. Right, so there are a few options, starting with the tokamak reactor. It's, again, very similar to the original design in a lot of ways, using magnetic confinement, so you have really high-intensity magnets confining this electrically charged plasma, right? So you can, in fact, confine this gas. If it touches the walls of the reactor, the entire reaction, for the most part, stops. It's just the way it is. You cannot have this plasma touch anything. It's extremely hot, extremely energy dense, right? Now, one of the downfalls of the tokamak reactor style is that it is very difficult to control this plasma inside this toroidal shape, almost like a donut. Okay, so because it's so difficult, the reaction is very, very, very commonly started, and after a short amount of time, we're talking in the, maybe 1,000 milliseconds type of situation, will automatically terminate just because the reaction is no longer stable. You get a cold pocket, the entire thing kind of just craps its pants, and you got nothing. It's essentially what usually happens most of the time. Okay, so then you go, well, how do you solve that problem? Because if that happens most of the time, and as of yet you've really been unable to make a feasible, stable reaction, well, how do you solve the issue of that? Okay, so then you kind of jump into this other style called, and what has been termed the stellarator reactor. I can't say it's a better design. It does theoretically solve the issue of fusion instability, right? So when you're at such a high temperature that atoms and molecules actually fuse together, for example, two hydrogen atoms. They fuse, they produce a heavier element, and protons, electrons, and all these things blast out of it, mostly in thermal energy. Well, how do you fix the instability issue? Right? If that's the one thing keeping you from actually producing this reactor, well, if you can fix that, all of a sudden you no longer have this issue, and you can start receiving energy from this reaction. Well, the stellarator, they took a supercomputer, they gave it quintessentially these issues, and they had it calculate an exact shape for something that would solve this issue. Okay, and that they technically did. So with this absurdly complex shape, I mean, humans couldn't produce this thing in a manner that's reasonable if they wanted to. They had to not only have a computer design it, but they also had to have a computer build it, and weld it, and actually physically produce the structure itself. So now you have this ridiculously complex, imagine taking a ribbon and rotating it around the longitudinal axis a bunch of times. And the points of weak and strong forces that would usually have the plasma come in contact with the sides of the reactor, now they are flipped back and forth quick enough where the plasma maintains its location in the center of this theoretical donut, if you will. So now you go, okay, cool. Well, if that's the solution, and it is currently being produced, which it theoretically is, now you theoretically don't have an issue anymore. Okay, so now what do you do? Do you stick with this design, or do you try to find something better? Because quite frankly, even that design has several downfalls, and we can get to them here in a second. Let's try to do some science really quick. You know what? We're not gonna worry about this yet. We can float around for a while. Let's warp here and get some low Minmus science. In fact, even if we actually could land if we wanted. Nope, we're gonna stick to the plan. Don't change the plan. Oh gosh. Okay, so low orbit science. Is this considered low orbit? We'll find out. Crew report. High in space over Minmus. Okay. What is considered low orbit? Let's try getting to 31. Let's try warping here. I don't know. This seems pretty low. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think that's pretty low. Let's try again. Crew report. In space, high over Minmus. Okay, cool. Let's make another maneuver node here then. Let's change this up real quick. I guess we are getting even lower. 11. Ooh, crazy. 11 kilometers is pretty darn low. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, well, if that's what it thinks is low, we're going for it. Okay, cool. Which RCS do we have left? Eesh. We got plenty. More than enough. More than enough. Okay. So, let's warp back around here really quick. Let's see what type of science we can do. Quite the orbit. Yo, guys, leave a like, quite frankly. I've gotten so much better at this stuff in recent time. I mean, these missions are going surprisingly well. I love this. Man, okay. So, let's pop back in here to try to do some science. I need to put some lights on this capsule. Ay. There we go, near Minmus. Okay. The lake beds seem relatively flat. Perhaps we could land there. Oh, we sure can, Big Chief. Okay, let's jump out of here. EVA report. Ooh, 32 science. EVA report from space just above Minmus Great Flats. You've recorded your observations about the situation. I'm very happy for you, Jebediah. I'm happy you're having a blast out there. Okay, SAS. On some RCS, stop rotating here. Observe Materials Bay. Beautiful. Let's do it really quick. Ooh, oh gosh, 100 science. Material study while in space near Minmus. The high radiation environment caused a few of the samples to glow. It looks like it would be fun to paint the rocket with this. They really like painting rockets, don't they? Maybe that's what they do in their spare time. I don't know. I don't judge. People are odd, you know. Whatever they do in their spare time is their business. Okay. Once again, in space near Minmus. The goo feels right at home here. I'm happy for it. Because I'm sure Jebediah does as well. He's like the goo. Okay. The instrument reads 0 as if it were in a vacuum. It's because it is. Log temperature. The collected and recorded temperature data from the environment. Again, once again, very happy for our science. Wow, we're getting some good science out here. Collect all. I love that. 6. Seems odd. Am I missing one? I feel like I might be missing one. I did goo, I did thermometer, I did pressure data. Okay, I did science junior, I did EVA report, and I'm not missing one. No, we're good. Okay, so we are going to turn this off for a second, just drift around a little bit. We need to set our way back home. Okay, let's do this burn here. We're not going to do that burn here. Where should we do this burn? This is a bit of an eccentric orbit. I do not like it. Okay. No problem. We'll just work with what we got here. It's okay. Periapsis. Apoapsis. That's quite alright. Apoapsis. Going to burn there. Eccentric orbit, no issue. It's quite alright. Set to maneuver node. Beautiful. I love it. There we go. Maybe that's a little bit cheating? I don't know. Maybe. So if using SAS, you're essentially just pausing time at that exact moment and letting it do its thing, you know? So, okay, so what is the end goal of fusion energy? Okay. So, I'm sure, as you can imagine, the end goal is to produce energy, right? That's the most logical conclusion for that question. But how far away, realistically, are we? And there's kind of this running joke with fusion energy. We've always been 30 years away. You know, for example, even in the 60s, there were headlines of, oh, in 20 years, we're gonna have fusion energy. 20 years later, oh, in 30 years, we're gonna have fusion energy. But, the biggest thing that has changed recently, and what we're kind of gonna hit on next, is the ability to produce high-intensity, petawatt scale lasers, okay? So much like storage on your phone, right? You're thinking gigabytes. So it goes kilobyte, megabyte, gigabyte, terabyte, petabyte, okay? Now the same thing goes for energy, right? So watts, kilowatts, megawatts, gigawatts, terawatts, petawatts. So petawatt lasers are something that are not only incredibly new, but they are something that generally change the way we can interact with materials in a high intensity energy fashion, right? If you can blast a material with this absurdly, with for lack of better words, absurdly high intensity laser, well, all of a sudden you can heat it up not only near instantaneously, but to an incredibly high temperature. So that kind of solves the issue we've been having previously of making a consistent attempt at producing a fusion reaction on a relatively small amount of energy usage. And the other side of this, which has made this whole thing theoretically possible, which I love, is that we have a design that was produced quite a long time ago. I don't remember exactly when. I think in the 70s. It is something called an HB11 fusion reactor. Okay. So what happens in this reaction compared to other reactors is you're taking this fuel pellet that is essentially magnetically confined inside of this sphere. Okay. And all around this pellet inside the sphere is going to be a bunch of hydrogen gas. Okay. So what happens is these lasers that are essentially 360 degrees around this fuel pellet blast it with such high intensity it creates a shockwave explosion. And as this explosion happens, this high intensity heat causes fusion to occur. And as long as you are pumping hydrogen gas into this reactor, this reaction continues. It's essentially a self-sustaining reaction as long as the elements required for this reaction to occur are still present, right? So now, all of a sudden, because of the advent of this high-intensity petawatt laser, which has been something of a dream of scientists for a long time because it can open up so many doors for us, now, it's simple enough for us to use these lasers and use these abilities that we now have that have only happened in the last, I think, year. I think these new lasers were made, or officially viable and used and researched and produced in a lab and reproducibly, sustainably made. So you take this new reactor and you go, okay, cool, now we have a theoretically stable fusion reaction, one that's sustainable, one that will continue to function, essentially no matter what, as long as we're pumping the correct materials into it constantly. Okay. Now what really makes this reactor different is instead of producing steam and running a steam turbine like all the other options have always been, and still, again, very functional, I can't knock it, it's been our main way of producing energy. You know, a hydroelectric dam, running water. You're just running water through a turbine instead of steam. As the turbine spins, it produces electricity. Nuclear reactor, you're producing steam, running a turbine, producing electricity. Okay, so instead, the HB11 fusion reactor, one of the byproducts of this reaction are protons, electrons, and neutrons. Okay, so as these protons, electrons, and neutrons get blasted out of this reaction, we can actually capture them as pure electricity. Because what is electricity? It's essentially positive and negative flowing throughout a system. So now, instead of having to entirely add another step to this process, we're just directly capturing this energy. Now, don't get me wrong, we're not entirely sure if this is entirely viable yet. It has never officially been, scaled up to the point that it turns into a positive energy production. Not yet, at least, to my knowledge. I'm sure they've been doing plenty of testing with it, to tell you that. I mean, there's countries all around the world, because if you can reliably produce positive energy source and just pump hydrogen into the system, well, congratulations, hydrogen's really, really easy. You can essentially use seawater for that. I mean, water itself is H2O, hydrogen with 2 oxygen. You just have to strip some hydrogen from the water, and all of a sudden you have fuel for a fusion reactor. I think that's an amazing concept, okay? So again, back to the original question, what is the end goal for fusion energy? And quite frankly, I'm an advocate for not dealing with a bunch of stupidity, okay? If we can solve the world's energy crisis, then we can focus on other things. Let's solve the world's food crisis. I don't know, let's solve the issues of always being at war. Oh wow. That's beautiful. Wow, look at that. It's a solar eclipse. Oh wow. That's awesome. I love seeing that. Who would have thought? I didn't think that was even possible in Kerbal Space Program. Why wouldn't it be possible? I guess. Huh, okay, fair enough. Fair enough. I wish I was on the surface to see it. That would be cool. Yeah, that would be pretty awesome, actually. I wonder what it looks like down there. Huh, that's cool. Cool, cool, cool. Okay, so anyway, so yeah, I'm definitely an advocate for going, okay, cool, so if we can solve the energy crisis and never have to worry about producing energy again, essentially, I mean, we have fuel for, I don't know, let's just say a couple 100 million years, theoretically, you know, it's not really an issue. So, now we can focus on other things, and now that we have an increased energy output, we can become, for once, a Type 1 civilization, because right now we're not even a Type 1 civilization, we're like a Type 0.8 civilization, maybe, if that, you know. So the moment we can become a Type 1 civilization is the moment we can now start focusing on other things, where we have enough energy production that that's no longer really a concern for us, right? I love that eclipse. That's cool. Okay, so let's get back to that maneuver node. Let's fast forward a little bit. Okay, so what can we conclude from the research that is being done, and where do we go from here? Right, so the research being done, obviously, there is, I mean, countries from all over the world. There's the ITER, the ITER, the International Thermonuclear Experimental whatever reactor. It's being funded by, you know, Russia, the United States, China, India, you know, a huge number of countries across the world are working on this reactor together. I love the idea that they're actually working together on something, you know. So you know, there's all these things going on. And if, in fact, we can work together and get this done, then maybe... I put a big maybe on that. Looks nice. So it's like my own little eclipse, because I couldn't see the real one. Ooh, look at that sun. That's beautiful, look at that. It's a giant ball of gas. That's what we're trying to reproduce right there, a fusion reaction. Oh, there we go. So, the research itself is showing that it's possible. Scientists knew this when they first realized what a fusion reaction was. It was a well-understood concept that if you could produce a sustainable fusion reaction, even in 1938, the first test of it, obviously a failure, but it was a good try, a good old college try, as it were. In the end, if we can, in fact, produce this reaction and sustain it, to the point that we no longer need coal, we no longer need solar, which I'm sure we'll still use anyway, we no longer need wind power, we no longer need, you know, for example, oh, I don't know, any other form of energy production. We no longer need to worry about burning trees. I mean, biomass fuel is terrible. You clear an entire forest, and you go, okay, we're just gonna burn it all. I mean, complete scorched earth, without hesitation. I think that's awful. That's a terrible way to do stuff. You know? So, here we are on the theoretical cusp, my friends, of producing this well-deserved reaction at this point. Ooh, beautiful. We are on track for re-entry here. I really hope nothing goes wrong. It has been tested multiple times. It seems to work well enough. We'll see, though. I need to figure out a way to... I should put some solar panels on this. Why haven't I done that yet? Oh, freaking stupid. We'll definitely have solar panels after this, that's for sure. So, again, moral of the story, if we can, in fact, produce these fusion reactors, and theoretically, as these companies are saying, they should be able to do it in the next... I don't know, I said 5 years, they have a working prototype. By 2030, they will be producing energy with these on a larger scale. I can't imagine the entire world will be making use of these reactors just yet. I get it, you know, I'm not gonna pretend that they will be. I think it's a definite option that we will have significantly more things going on by then, you know. So, one of those things I'm assuming and I'm hoping for is the ability to solve other crises. The crises? Crises, that sounds about right. Again, food crisis. If we solve the energy crisis, now we can focus on producing, you know, better batteries more to store all this energy we're producing. Because right now, we can't even store the energy we're producing from coal power or solar power. The only people really doing that is Tesla, making the gigantic battery banks that can actually, for the most part, I should say, fix brownouts and blackouts if there is too high of a demand for energy or there's not enough demand for an energy source at the time. You know, points of low energy, you have to scale back reactors, and reactors don't like being scaled back. That just means you're either burning less coal or completely shutting it down, and it takes a long time to turn a coal power plant back on, and you can't really turn a nuclear power plant off. That's not really a thing, you know. You can't just at the press of a button turn off a nuclear power plant. That's not how it works. So in the end, if you could produce fusion reactions that are sustainable, that are producing positive energy amounts. And I'm not saying positive efficiency. Efficiency for humans has always been low. We're not good at doing stuff in the slightest. But if instead, you could now go, okay, cool, the energy we're producing that's in excess, we can now store that energy. And this is where really the end goal for fusion energy comes in. Is you can have a small form factor fusion reactor and store all the excess energy you're using, or not using at that point. You go, okay, cool. So yeah, let's just throw a gigantic battery bank in this city. Let's use all the energy to charge electric cars, because the batteries we have now last 90 years. Yeah, because the batteries we have now, they'll last an absurdly long amount of time without any issue. It'll last 1,000,000 miles, and a single charge will get you, I don't know, let's say 100,000 miles out of a single charge. That's honestly what everyone wants, right? So in the end, if we can work on fusion or any other form of sustainable energy, including solar and wind, I mean, why not use those? If we can harness the free energy from the sun, free for us at least, and we don't have to produce our own, essentially, star to do it, that just means we consume less, so we consume less water, we consume less hydrogen, we consume less of the other resources that are required to produce these reactors, to even begin with. We go, alright, cool. We have all these extra resources, now what do we do? And I swear to God, if we use all these extra resources to kill each other, I would be pissed. I would be real pissed. Someone needs to work on AI with the express purpose to make humanity better, to solve the issues that constantly face humans. Stare us right in the face. Death, disease, war. What if everyone was now all of a sudden constantly, continually happy, right? Now what do we do? Because if we have infinite energy, and we have a way to store this energy in a really, really compact manner, we can easily make robots to do all the work for us. To mine all the resources we need, to plant and produce the crops we need, because an AI doing all the work. We don't have to do anything anymore, essentially. So now what do we do? Do we reach out to the stars? Do we just bring a fusion reactor to Mars and we go, okay, cool. We have an AI and we have a fusion reactor. We have plenty of soil. We have a bunch of robots that can just go mine for us. Oh, Gemini's dead. Look at those G-force. Gosh, that's way up there. 15 Gs? Jesus. Here we go. I love this. It's such a successful mission. Jesus. Bajasis. Bajasis. And very shortly, I'm going to deploy the drogue chutes. Do not want to impact the surface, that is for sure. I'm going to wait till about 3,000 meters. And 2,500, 2,000. I'm like, I'm just going to do it now. I don't want to risk it. Not at all. Not at all. Beautiful. Oh, beautiful, 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 beautiful. What a nice time. Let's turn off SAS, RCS. Perfect. Oh my gosh, what a successful mission. It's time for a little bit. So yeah, I know. I think AI is good. I know people are afraid of AI. I know it's not like a known thing what would happen if we have AI that could do all these things. What if AI decides that it doesn't like humans, that we are the problem? I get it, I don't necessarily agree that would happen. In the end, AI, deep learning neural networks, machine learning, all these, whatever you want to call it, because we don't necessarily have any form of AI at this point, let's be honest. It's not an artificial intelligence. It's just a computer that calculates in a similar way to human brains. And splashdown. Wow. Beautiful. Okay. I like it. Crew report. Freaking nothing. Nice. Recover vessel. Excited. I'm excited for missions to go that well in the future. That's gonna be pretty great. Oh man. 384 science, not as much as the previous, but we have more than enough to do a couple things. Now, what do we really, really, really need at this point? We do need better energy production and storage. We really could go for a mobile processing lab. We really, really, really could make a better rover. What else? 12. How much? So if I were to do this, 612, 320, 612. Am I doing that right? 160 plus 160, 320. Yeah, okay, cool. So I can get 2 of these. Organizations. I really could go for radial attachment point. Discovered that it had great potential as a structural element. Okay. Clampotron docking point. Invented after a peaceful protest against lack of spacecraft attachment systems turned violent. Oh boy. The Clampotron docking port allows for the firm attachment of two separate vessels. After docking, vessels can be just as easily undocked. I like that. I do need this. It's something I definitely do need. Okay. And then beyond that, I would love supersonic flight. I really, truly, genuinely would. Well, for reasons. Reasons I will not disclose yet. I could definitely use this. This is very useful to me as well. Aye. Okay, monopropellant tanks. These are helpful. Definitely. Orbital maneuvering engines. How much? Ooh, monopropellant. No, ew. Gross. Could really use Sepatrons instead of that. Ooh, very heavy rocketry. Oh, I'm so excited for this. Oh, yeah. Yep. Lithium. Yeah, I have other fuel sources like lithium, for example. How much thrust is this? ISP. Okay, it's an engine. It's more of a long-haul engine, I guess. Electrical charge. Okay, not great. I mean, good, but not okay. I would love that. Mammoth engines. Clydesdale solid fuel booster. Oh my gosh. It's huge. Okay. Magnetoplasma dynamic thruster. Okay. Is that like a Hall thruster? What's going on? Kilonewtons, electrical charge, 999.999 per second. Is that what it produces? It uses lithium. Get another long-haul engine. Wow, okay, there's so much stuff here. Oh, okay. So for the moment, we are not there. Nuclear propulsion, I do love the idea of that as well. Ooh, lithium tank. Ooh, it's a lot. Large volume containment, advanced metalworking, composites, structural panels. I love that. Altitude flight. Ooh, you know what these look like. Oh, that my friend. Clampotron. Ooh, I like that. Heavy flight. Heavy landing gear. I really need this. External command seat. Okay, we're off topic here. What are we gonna get here? Okay. Supersonic flight, no, I don't really need that. I'm gonna get this. I really need that. I really do. I got the two things I needed, which is kind of the point of researching stuff, right? HECS, awesome. Anyways, guys, we used our science. We did a lot of science today. I'm sad I missed that eclipse, but that's okay. We'll figure it out next time. Maybe not. Anyways, guys, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more things like this in the future. Don't forget to check out the previous video, covering a lot of interesting topics. Super interesting. Last one was on the Great Filter. Anyways, talk to you later, guys. Bye.